Have you heard the term dry drunk and wondered, is that me? Or maybe you've questioned, can you be sober and be a dry drunk? Or what's the difference between dry drunk versus sober or in recovery? Today, I'm going to break down all the ins and outs of dry drunk, from what does it mean and is it me, all the way to how to avoid it and or change it. This is a jam-packed episode, and it's perfect for the newbie just getting sober or the seasoned old-timer who always needs a good reminder of the importance of emotional sobriety, or anyone in between who may have been lulled into thinking that alcohol was the only problem. I put a ton of energy into creating this episode to make sure it's simple, easy to understand, and will save you headaches and frustrations. Not to mention, get you a little extra peace of mind so you can do the things you really want to be doing in your sober life and spending time with the people you love. So if you're ready to level up your recovery, including getting an understanding of emotional sobriety, aka recovery, and know what to do to avoid dry drunk syndrome, I've got you covered. Hey everybody, welcome to the Addiction Unlimited podcast, where you get to learn everything you want to know about addiction and recovery. I'm your host, Angela Pugh, co-founder of Kansas City Recovery, life coach, and recovering alcoholic. To learn more about me, you can listen to episode 0 on your podcast app or find us on the web at addictionunlimited.com. Hello, my friend. Welcome back to another episode of the Addiction Unlimited podcast. I'm your coach, Angela Pugh. Thank you for spending some time with me today listening to the pod. This episode is about to change your little sober life. Getting sober can be a beast. I think we all know that, especially if you don't feel like you're making as much progress as you thought you would, or maybe you have some time sober and moved away from your recovery work and found yourself feeling like your life is suffering because of it. You feel your spiritual fitness slipping away and you start behaving like when you were still drinking. Can you be sober and be a dry drunk? What's the difference between dry drunk versus sober or in recovery? When can you be a dry drunk? Is it something that happens in early sobriety? Can it happen in long-term sobriety? Is it in sobriety or recovery? If you're having trouble understanding the difference or worried you might fall into the dry drunk camp, this episode is definitely for you. And we're going to start with a disclaimer. Many people consider the term dry drunk to be negative or a term of disparagement, right? Like the implication is that one person's sobriety is better than another's. That is not what it means at all, by the way. It really is a description or a phase, a stage that you can go through. It's not judgmental. And if you are one of those people that feels like it's a negative term, you are perfectly allowed to have your thoughts and opinions, and I will love you and honor you no matter what. I will also ask that you honor that other people are also perfectly allowed to have their own thoughts and opinions. And some of us don't find this term to hold any judgment, right? People put judgment on words. Words don't have judgment. And you know, I am not one to get hung up on the terminology. Because if you're putting energy and thought process into the terminology, then you're taking focus away from the things that are actually important. It doesn't matter what words you use or what words you approve of. What matters is that you're focused on healing and recovering so that you can be the best possible version of you for yourself and for the people you love. That's where your energy and thought process needs to be focused. So what the heck is a dry drunk anyway? A dry drunk is essentially a person who is sober, meaning you've stopped drinking altogether, but you're still exhibiting many of the same behaviors as when you were still drinking alcohol. You've probably heard me say before that as a 12-step person, your reasons for going to meetings when you've been sober a long time, your reasons change. In the beginning, when I was getting sober, I was going to have support and learn how to get through each day without taking a drink. That's it. Once I was good at the not drinking part and really comfortable without alcohol, I went to continue to learn a new way to live and get comfortable with the living life part of sober life. Then my motivation became more about being of service. I want to be sitting in that room for the next person walking in the door for the first time that needs to see someone crushing it and loving it. It's my responsibility to be there for the newcomer, to try to make their journey better and more comfortable. And that sense of responsibility never goes away for me. I will always go as a way to be of service because my whole life is based on being of service. But we continue going even after years and decades of sobriety because of the emotional sobriety, working on those character defects. If I get too far away from my recovery, those old behaviors will start to pop up. Just because you've been sober for a while doesn't erase your character defects. They're still there. You just don't use them as much when you're healthy. But if you want to stop practicing your healthiness, then those character defects are going to get stronger again. Old behaviors start creeping back in, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a dry drunk situation. I first want to dive into some of the behaviors of active addiction to make sure you understand the exact nature of this illness, right? The habits and character defects we practice when we're still actively engaged in drinking. And not every one of these words is going to fit every one of you listening. I want you to only focus on the things that are you. Don't put energy into focusing on the things that aren't you. It's a waste of valuable energy that you need for positive momentum. So only identify what fits for you. So when we are in active alcoholism, we are sneaky, insecure, manipulative, fearful, controlling, reactive, impulsive. We can have anger, temper issues. We are obstinate. Oh my gosh, are we obstinate? And a little stubborn, okay? We tend to get stuck in a victim mindset. We blame others. This is big, blaming others, right? I drink because my spouse still drinks and doesn't support me. I drink because I'm a full-time caregiver. I drink because I have chronic pain. I drink because my job sucks. I don't have enough money. This person doesn't treat me right. Listen, the truth is we drink because we're alcoholics. We can blame all the things on the planet, but the truth is I drink because I'm an alcoholic, that's all. Because you can fix all the issues that you're blaming and you'll just find other things to blame. That's the truth. So that's a big one, blaming others. We're codependent, people-pleasing, lazy, dishonest, arrogant. And these are just a handful of things off the top of my head. These are the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors that lead us to a drink. Let's take victim mindset as an example. If you're feeling like, why me? Why did this happen to me? I can't believe all these bad things always happen to me. There's nothing I can do. I'm stuck and I'll be stuck forever. This particular thought process makes you feel backed into a corner, like you have no choice and you have no control. And when you feel out of control, like there's nothing you can do to solve your problems, what do you think is going to sound good to help you cope with those feelings? You guessed it, a drink. Your brain is going to jump right in there and be like, yeah, you're fucked. We may as well drink, right? I mean, it's looking for any opportunity to jump in. Being in recovery means that you're actively working on yourself to heal wounds and maladaptive behavioral patterns like the list I just went through, to heal the underlying issues that led you to alcohol in the first place. That's why when you just quit drinking and do nothing else, you end up relapsing. Think of it like going to the dentist and they numb you up, but that's all they do, right? They don't actually pull your tooth or clean your teeth or do the root canal. They just numb you up and send you home. As soon as the numbing wears off, your tooth problem is still there. The tooth pain is the symptom that there's a bigger problem. You go to the dentist to get the problem fixed, not just numbed, but fixed. Sobriety and recovery are the same way. Drinking is the symptom of bigger problems. It numbs the emotional pain, but it doesn't actually fix anything. You go get help, however and wherever you choose to do that, to fix the problems. The actual problems are all the underlying issues: anxiety, isolation, low self-esteem, shitty boundaries, addicted parents, shitty childhood, unresolved trauma, all the things that make us not feel good about ourselves. Those are the problem. Over drinking is merely a symptom of those underlying problems. It's what lets you know there's work to be done. You use alcohol to numb the feelings instead of learning how to cope with feelings in a healthy way. So you can quit drinking. That's the getting sober part. Sober's quitting the substance. But without help or proper treatment, you'll experience the same emotional and psychological problems you did while drinking. Welcome to being a dry drunk. You're dry, not drinking, but you still have all the behaviors and shitty attitude just like when you were drunk. Once you remove the alcohol, you can then address the real issues: the anger, resentment, impatience, self-centeredness. That's recovery. Sobriety is stopping. Recovery is healing. If at any point in your recovery you stop healing or you stop doing the things that keep you healthy, you can easily fall back into those old behaviors and be a dry drunk. I had a really bad temper when I was a drinking person, right? I was extremely judgmental, condescending, probably a little bit of a bully. So, of course, I didn't feel good about myself. I knew I was a jerk, and you can't be a jerk and have healthy self-esteem. Your brain just doesn't work that way. Probably around my second year sober, I started to really work on my temper and my mouth. These were character defects that I didn't feel good about. I wasn't proud of acting the way I did. I didn't like losing my temper and treating people like crap. And I knew I wanted to have more self-control. I wanted to be a nicer person, but big picture, I understood I had to have more self-regulation. So I started really working on my temper and my mouth. Part of this too was negativity. Being so negative about everything. Every thought and every sentence out of my mouth was about something I didn't like. I don't like this, or I hate this thing or this place, or I hate how this is done, or why do these idiots do this like this? I was so gross and miserable. And that negativity triggered my anger because I was so resentful about life and hated everything that I was always just mad and ready to go off on someone. But when I'm on top of my game and doing the things that keep me healthy, I was able to change those behaviors and find a new perspective and learn to shut my mouth. And it changed my life. That doesn't mean my inner jerk isn't still in me. It's absolutely there. And if I want to slack off on the things that keep me healthy, then that inner jerk is going to start getting stronger because it's untreated. When a diabetic takes insulin, it doesn't make their diabetes go away. It just makes it manageable. And if they don't take their insulin, that diabetes is going to get stronger and take them down. Alcoholism and character defects are the same way. If you treat them, you get to be happy and healthy. If you don't, you won't. If you try to just push your addiction to the side and try to bury it with activities and hobbies, you'll slowly start slipping back closer to a drink. I hope getting better sleep is at the top of your list of New Year's resolutions, and I'm going to give you your first step with Cozy Earth's best-selling bedding. In recovery, sleep is essential to healing and restoring balance in your life. Quality rest helps rebuild your brain and your body. If you've been following me for any length of time, you know in the last several months, I have been super focused on getting better sleep. I've never slept well. I know how important it is, and I know it's something that's really holding me back. And Cozy Earth bedding is one of the things that I've added in my sleep routine that has made such a difference. And it's made a huge difference in two ways. One, it keeps my body temperature a little bit lower. I have a king size sheet set in white. It keeps my body temperature lower, which is hugely important for me. And two, these things are so soft. Like you definitely feel the difference. They're made from 100% premium viscose from bamboo. They're breathable and they are the softest sheets I've ever slept on. And they get softer with every wash. And as if incredible sleep isn't enough of a benefit, Cozy Earth offers a 100-night sleep trial and a 10-year warranty. This is a no-brainer, you guys. And because giving is my love language, when you visit cozyearth.com, make all your selections of the incredible things you want to get, you can use my exclusive 40% off code, Angela. Yes, you heard me right. 40% off. Cozyearth.com. Pick your stuff when you get to checkout. Use my code Angela. And if you get a post-purchase survey, let them know you heard about Cozy Earth from Addiction Unlimited podcast. Again, 40% off code Angela. A better year starts with better sleep, my friend. Wrap yourself in Cozy Earth. One of my clients in my 6-week program did this. He got sober and was doing all the work, right? Weekly sessions with me, showing up to all of our online groups, participating in everything and helping others as they came in the group. Then he got busy. He started missing a meeting here and there. Then all of a sudden, it had been 2 months since he had been to one of our online groups. And after about 5 months, he started to notice he was slipping into those old behaviors. Anger, resentment, ego were all creeping back in. And he let his guard down and he had a drink and lost 3 years of sobriety. And his wife told him before he relapsed, she said, "You need to get back to your meetings because you're starting to look like the guy I was about to divorce 3 years ago." Because he stopped doing the things that were keeping him healthy and those old behaviors started showing up again. And sometimes it's not about behaviors coming back because some people never fix the behaviors, right? This is my dad. He did drugs when I was young. He quit doing drugs a million years ago, but he never got any help to fix all of his fucked upness, right? So he's not using drugs, but he's still a jerk. He's still angry and negative, superior, resentful, condescending, narcissistic, and a million other things that make you want to pull your hair out. By the way, I was all of those things too. The unhealthy version of me is exactly that. Now, all of that being said, I love my father very much. Like every addict or alcoholic, he is Jekyll and Hyde, right? For all those negative qualities, he's also super charming and funny and generous and one of the smartest people I've ever known. But he's had no growth, no recovery, no healing. Growth is a symptom of recovery. Some people take longer to work their shit out. Some people never work it out. That's your choice about how happy you want to be and how much relief you want to feel. Like alcohol is the medicine you use to cope with all the issues you have. Ultimately, obviously, it's a terrible choice because it just makes your problems way worse. If you manage to stop drinking, then you're left without the one medicine you had, and all the issues and problems are still inside you. Dry drunk. It's imperative that you find a way to get help to heal the underlying issues. It's also imperative that you understand this is not a fast process. You will feel better for sure, but you didn't get all the issues overnight, and you aren't going to fix them all overnight. But the more engaged you are in a recovery program of some sort, the more healing you will do. And you'll be amazed at how all the areas of your life benefit from your healing because you begin to behave differently. If you have some time sober, you already know this. You can see changes quickly. You can see your family feeling relief because you're doing well. You can see your work performance improve. You can feel the gratitude of waking up on the weekends and being available and present with your kids. Or maybe you have the moment of gratitude when your teenager calls you unexpectedly to pick her up from the sleepover, and you can jump right in the car and go get her without a second thought because you haven't been drinking. That's the beauty of recovery. But don't make the mistake of getting stuck in sobriety and not moving on into recovery and wonder why you're relapsing. When you see all the people talking about day one again, it's usually because one or two reasons. You either quit drinking, but you don't do anything else, so you stay stuck in the sobriety phase, or you were doing all the things and feeling great, then you stop doing the things and you relapse. Sobriety doesn't give you any healing. It's just quitting the substance. And remember, when you quit drinking, you're still left with all the feelings and behaviors you were numbing. So if you just quit drinking and don't do anything, don't do any healing, it's incredibly challenging to stay sober. It's also very uncomfortable. But if you get sober and you're actively engaged in something to heal the feelings and behavior, then you're recovering. And that's what will allow you to stay sober long term. Staying sober is 1,000% about your mental health and making sure you're consistently engaged in activities that keep your mental health healthy. We also call this being spiritually fit or emotional sobriety. Physical sobriety is quitting drinking. Then you have to work on the emotional sobriety. You won't stay sober if you're still being sneaky, manipulative, lying, angry, resentful, or living in super high anxiety all the time, trying to control everything. You have to heal these wounds and shift those behaviors and thought processes to maintain sobriety. And it doesn't matter if you've been sober 2 months or 30 years. Managing our thoughts, feelings, and behavior, that emotional sobriety, is always the thing that our sobriety depends on. There are only two ways to go. You're going one step closer to a drink or one step closer to your recovery. Stop going to meetings, that's a step closer to a drink. Posting a supportive comment in our Facebook group, a step closer to your recovery. Hanging out with drinking friends who are triggering for you, that's a step closer to a drink. Stop meditating, closer to a drink. Take a few minutes of quiet time for deep belly breaths to calm your anxiety, that's a step closer to recovery. Setting healthy boundaries, closer to recovery. Overscheduling yourself, closer to a drink. You have to know what is necessary for you to maintain your spiritual fitness and emotional sobriety. My tools that I swear by every single day right now are my sleep routine, meditation, journaling, and always being in conversations with other alcoholics. And at some point, I'll get bored with journaling and I'll switch to motivational videos instead of journaling. I will never get away from meditation because of the brain science behind it and all the benefits and healing of meditation. I don't care if I don't feel like it. I don't care if I don't want to. I don't care if I don't have time. Meditation is a non-negotiable for me. I still go to AA meetings, not every day like I used to, but I have an enormous love and respect and gratitude for those rooms, and it will always be a part of my journey. I have a lot of tools that I can move in and out of that keep me spiritually fit, emotionally healthy, and actively engaged in my recovery. That's how I avoid dry drunk syndrome. And every once in a while, I'll get super tired or super stressed or super fearful about life things. And I'll catch myself falling back into old behaviors. I'll catch myself getting short and snippy. I'll catch my thoughts being negative or jealous. And in those moments, I have to check myself and get my shit together immediately. Because if I don't, I'll be a dry drunk too. Dry drunk doesn't have to last forever. It's not a recovery death sentence. It's just feedback that there's work to be done. Okay, action time. Here's your plan. How do you avoid becoming a dry drunk or change it if you're already there? I want you to think about, first thing, action step. I want you to think about some of your drinking behaviors. Were you sneaky and hiding things? Were you lying to cover how much you drank or lying to cover for missed events because of your drinking? Were you manipulating your partner or spouse or boss to accommodate your drinking? Were you opportunistic and always maneuvering an opportunity to drink? Are you super selfish and self-centered, only thinking about you and what you want and how you want things to go and how you want people to act? Were you sloppy, angry, scary, verbally abusive, neglectful, emotionally unavailable, codependent, people-pleasing, blaming? I just gave you a lot to work with there. But get a good, honest, and realistic list of some of your most prominent drinking life behaviors. And understand that the people you live with will recognize these behaviors too. Like I said about my client in my 6-week program, his wife recognized maybe even before he did. So if your partner gives you some feedback that you don't like, pay attention and say thank you. When you have your list, then you know what to watch for. As you recover and heal, you'll see the edges soften on some of those character defects and behaviors, and that feels good. You can get really intentional about changes, like I did with my temper and my mouth and my negativity. I really healed all 3 of those at the same time by being intentional in my behavior change and practicing new behaviors every day. For a few months, that was my sole focus. Okay, next action step, find some help. It doesn't matter if it's a recovery program, a therapist, a counselor, an outpatient group. A recovery program is going to get you the biggest and best results. And the more you go, the more you will heal. Just do something to work on those behaviors and heal yourself with an objective person or people, right? You need other people to learn from and follow, and to give you honest feedback about who you are, how you're being, and how to be different. You can't use your broken thinking to fix your broken thinking. There have to be objective people involved. Other sober people, not random people or your BFF from grade school that has zero knowledge or understanding of alcoholism, right? It can't be those people. It has to be people that know the deal. Lastly, build your toolbox. You may have a handful of tools you use right now, but you need more, because at some point you'll get tired of the ones that are working right now and you'll need different ones to stay stimulated and energized. It may be podcasts and Quitlet right now, or in journaling. But if you get tired of those, you need other tools to use. Always be searching for things that keep your mind healthy and strong. Practices and rituals that calm you, center you, and build your positive mindset. Recovery and emotional sobriety are a lifelong journey. Not just for us, by the way, not just for alcoholics, but for everyone. The biggest difference for us is that we are normally more dedicated to our growth than the rest of the population. They just stay sick and continue blaming it on everyone else or just not taking action. But for our happiness and the well-being of our families and to maintain our sobriety, we have to be more dedicated to being well. So always build your toolbox. I hope you got a ton of great information out of this episode. And if you're thinking about working with me privately, the next step is just to schedule a free call with me, addictionunlimited.com/call. And we can have a quick conversation, see if we're a good fit. If we're not a good fit, I can definitely tell you like where to start, where to focus your energy right now, what might be a better fit for you. addictionunlimited.com/call. Of course, I will leave that in the show notes. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I will see you next week.
You've reached the end of another great episode of the Addiction Unlimited podcast. Candid and honest conversation about addiction and recovery. Be sure to visit us at addictionunlimited.com to join the conversation and access show notes and links to everything we talked about. Love this episode? Please take 30 seconds to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes to help us improve and give you the information you want. Thanks for listening. See you next week.